I couldn't easily take the map, but I could use it to work out some things. For some reason, the cultists had a map of Ankh-Morpork in the sanctuary. The sanctuary was decorated with a strange and disturbing fresco. Closely examining the fresco, I could see that one of the symbols made a frequent appearance. I made a sketch of the symbol in my notebook. Between the gatekeeper I really didn't know what the strange symbol meant. I doubted there was any direct connection between the fresco and the murders. I was prepared to be proved wrong, though. I doubted there was... I really didn't know. I doubted that I was prepared to be... The sanctuary was decorated with a strange and disturbing fresco. I doubted there was any direct connection between the fresco and the murders. I was prepared to be proved wrong, though. For some reason, the cultists had a map. I knew where Malachite, Mundy, and Reagan had been killed, but the triangle didn't seem to suggest anything useful. I knew where Malachite... I knew precisely where 4 murders had taken place. I needed more information. I had found the precise location of 5 murders. I needed to know more. The murders seem to be along the edge of a circle. I guess if there were any more murders, they'd take place somewhere on that circle, too. In the center of the circle was the Disc Theater. Oh, I had a bad feeling about that.
Who would Sir like to see this time?
I'd like to use the library again.
Very well. I will show Sir the way, since it seems the labyrinthine corridors of this vast edifice are beyond Sir's meager navigational skills.
I found the obscure star-like symbol in the Necrotelecomnicon discussed for students. It called it the sign of the eel, or the Elver sign. It was apparently a protective ward against some of the older, darker gods of the Discworld. The tome also explained how to inscribe one, the order of tracing being very important. Not that I believed any of this mumbo-jumbo, but hey, you can't afford to be too careful, right? The Necrotelecomnicon was a book that legend spoke of, saying that any mortal man who read it would be driven insane. I learnt about it from a copy of Necrotelecomnicon discussed for students with practical experiments that I found in the library. In this tome, there is a description of the old dark gods of the Disc, including the terrible Laddering Holler, Nylonathotep. Apparently, Nylonathotep was once summoned by a series of 8 murders, forming a perfect octagram, focused at the center of the Circle C, thus releasing it from the sunken city of Leshp, where he was trapped, along with drunken Cthulhu Bapalulu. The book speculated about the whereabouts of Nylonathotep now, but beyond him being safely imprisoned somewhere around the Circle C, it drew no conclusions. The murders were marking out a perfect octagram, just like the one that had been used to free Nylonathotep from sunken Leshp centuries ago. If I was right, there would be 2 more murders, one in Tegan Street and one in the Wizard's Pleasance. If I knew which one was next, I could stake it out. In the center of the octagram was the Disc Theater, which almost certainly meant some kind of cosmic evil was entombed there. I can't say I was enthusiastic at the thought of checking it out. How did I know if Ilsa was there or not? The moon over Dagon Street lit the rundown alley. It didn't look like anyone was around. It was as abandoned as the Octarine Parrot on open stage night. One of the shops in the street was called the Three Jolly Luck Takeaway Fish Bar. I remembered that name from somewhere. Something to do with Mr. Hong. I remember he went missing somehow. The abandoned fish bar was boarded up tight. I couldn't pull the... The fish bar was littered with assorted debris. The fish bar... Amongst the debris, I found a bone that seemed a little out of place. I didn't want to take the bone. It was bad enough that I'd been carrying around some dead troll's tooth all this time. There was a disturbing dark magenta scent in the fish bar, something that resonated with cosmic evil. It scared me. It scared me that anything could have such a disturbing scent. And it scared me that I could tell what color cosmic evil was. The Wizard's Pleasance was a small, newt-haunted meadow in a horseshoe bend in the Ankh, inside the grounds of the Unseen University, separated from it but connected to the university gardens by the Bridge of Sighs. On summer evenings, if the wind is blowing towards the river, it is a nice area for a stroll. The Pleasance was full of dense bushes. I could hide in the bushes, but for how long? I'd need to know that the next murder was definitely going to be here before I did that. On a good day, the Pleasance was apparently a nice place for a walk. Presumably today was not a good day.
Everyone on the disc knows the legend of Eleanor of Tzot. Or at least everyone knows a legend of Eleanor of Tzot. Or Krinix. Or El Harib. Ask most people and they'll tell you that she was the cause of the Tzotian Wars. Of course, ask most people and they'll tell you the patrician is a kind and benevolent man. Never trust what most people tell you. The real cause of the Tzotian Wars was a little-known goddess called Errata.
The 8 plays in sequence were The Happy Prince of Copperhaven, Antilogy and Cleopatra, Kensington, The King of Ankh, The Leering King, The Tyrant, Truculus and Cressylic, and Titus Diplodocus. The flyer didn't tell me anything about them, though.
Who would Sir like to see?
I'd like to use the library again.
Very well. I will show...
I looked up Hwel in the library and found his complete works. In there was a discussion of the 8 great tragedies, Hwel's bloodiest works. From the About the Author paragraph, I learned that Hwel was a dwarf who was banished from his tribe not only because of his claustrophobia, but because of his tendency to daydream. Both undesirable, to say the least, if you work in a mine. 102, and in the prime of his life for a dwarf, Hwel now worked for Vittler's Plays at the Disc Theatre as one of the premier playwrights of the day. The 8 great tragedies were given in great detail. 8 plays, each with a collection of murders, usually with one more particularly gruesome or grotesque than the others, presumably for use in publicity trailers. The publicity trailers helped draw people into the theater by being towed around town to display posters. There was something suspiciously familiar about some of those murders. The 8 great tragedies were still in the complete works of Hwel. Well, it wasn't like they were going anywhere. Cheery collection of plays. In Titus Diplodocus, Titus was responsible for dismembering and eating various people before meeting his own grisly demise. In almost all the other plays, the lead met a horrible end. The Happy Prince of Copperhaven, who was poisoned at the end, Antilogy and Cleopatra, who were stabbed and poisoned by an asp, respectively. Kensington, who was strangled by his wife. The Leering King, who had his eyes gouged out. The Tyrant, who was stabbed repeatedly in the back. And Truculus and Cressylic. He gets dragged through the streets of Sort until dead, and she is one of the tiny handful of protagonists to actually survive one of Hwel's action-packed blockbuster murder fests. If they held a Protagonists of Hwel's Tragedies annual reunion, the only other person there would be the lead role in The King of Ankh.